How's it going? You good? Did you hear that Russia has developed the craziest missile to date? They call it the Flying Chernobyl. It could destroy any defense system in the world like crazy before. Now, Donald Trump is shit scared. You better find out about this. I know most of the time we talk about Africa, we come here to talk about the motherland, but we have to talk about this because it's very hard to understand what's happening in your position if you don't understand what's happening in the world right now. Now, Russia has done something really, really crazy, and Vladimir Putin has sent a very chilling message. What is this? Russia has successfully tested a nuclear power cruise missile. They call it the Flying Chernobyl. Yes, Russia has tested the nuclear power cruise missile officially called the Burevestnik. Do you know that name? Burevestnik is like the Buras of South Africa. The Bura. Buras in South Africa, the white South African that came to... Anyway, forget about the Bura. It's called the Burevestnik. That's the nickname of the missile. The missile stands out with unlimited range, so it can stay in the air for a couple of days. It's crazy stuff. Vladimir Putin wants to send a very strong message. It's two messages. We're going to find out about that. But before we find out about that message, we need to find out about this missile. What's special about this missile? Number one, this missile can fly for 15 straight hours. 15 hours. And 14,000 kilometers. One flight. That's crazy. And they say 14,000, obviously. It's about 7,700 miles from my American friends. And they say, yeah, I know. I have to think about you, right? We're in family now. They say 15 hours flight, 14,000 kilometers. And I say 15 hours in the air, it's not the maximum amount of time it can do.
Сколько тысяч километров?
14 тысяч.
14 тысяч. И в воздухе находилось?
Около 15 часов.
И это не предел.
Не предел.
Number two, the missile is powered by a nuclear reactor. Yes, unlike conventional missile that uses chemical fuel, this got a nuclear reactor. So this is another level. Number three, the propulsion missile gives it an almost unlimited range and can fly for several days, circling the globe and strike its target from unexpected angles. Did you hear that? So the missile can go woo, 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 then when you least expect it. Number four, the engine uses ultra-heated fan air ejected by the reactor, hence the nickname Flying Chernobyl. You've heard of Chernobyl. I think you need to do some research about that. Maybe that will help you understand. It was disastrous. Now, Russia claims that Burevestnik can outsmart any defense system, that's number five, including the Golden Dome that the President Donald Trump once said would make the United States of America invincible. The Golden Dome is a project that America has to build something very similar to what the Israelis have, protecting them against any attack. And the Golden Dome is supposed to be like way beyond, way superior to what the Israelis have. And Trump said that will make America invincible. Now, the Russians say this missile will completely obliterate the Golden Dome. Now, there are two messages that Putin is trying to send here. Very clear message. Number one, he's trying to demonstrate his military power by shooting this, clearly. Number two, he also extending his hands for negotiation and dialogue. Remember, this is interesting. Why? Because this just comes shortly after USA and Russia's talk has fallen apart. Putin and Trump were supposed to meet to have a discussion about Ukraine to end that war that's been on for too long. And the battles of egos and stuff like that. Once Trump pulled away because he wasn't happy, he wanted a total ceasefire from the Russians, and Putin didn't want the ceasefire because he felt like they are winning the battle. Why would you have a ceasefire if you are pummeling somebody? I mean, you don't need a ceasefire because when you have a ceasefire, you're giving him an opportunity to rebuild, right? An opportunity to reconstruct, to have better strategies. You don't need a ceasefire. How about we find a solution? Russia wanted concessions, all the territory that's been conquered by Russia to be assigned to Russia right now. Russia also wants a big region of Ukraine to be part of Russia now. And most of this region are occupied by Russian-speaking people. Ukrainians that speak Russian. And Russia feel like they're affiliated to Russia. And Ukraine treat them like Russians and foreigners. Now, America, on the other hand, with Trump, wanted a ceasefire with no condition, and Russia didn't want that. That's how the peace talk fell apart. Right after the peace talk fell apart, Russia shot this new Burevestnik missile. So it's clearly a way to send a message. Now, some people say that this very interesting missile comes with a lot of risks. They say the missile leaves a radioactive trail during its flight. So as they shoot it, the trail that remains is radioactive. It's very dangerous for the people behind. Number two of the risks, experts say the longer it stays in flight, the higher the chances of an incident. So it's basically a very dangerous missile, either for the shooter and the people that are being shot. Now, the biggest problem here is this one. This program has already caused the death of 5 Russian scientists in 2019. So it's not a brand new missile. It's a missile that's been on test for some time now. And the last time it's killed 5 Russian scientists while they were shooting. But now, obviously with time, they took time to better it, to fix it and adjust it. Now, that's a very interesting question. Why is he showing it now? I mean, the missile fell in the past. It is a very dangerous missile, one of the best they have built so far. 15,000 kilometers, 15 hours in the air. That is very dangerous. But why now? Because it's a message aimed at the West. It's a way for Putin to tell Trump, listen, I know you don't like failure. You're probably going to try to do something funny. So let me shoot this in the meantime so you can understand that you don't need to do anything funny because I've got the weapons. Now, Vladimir Putin praised the weapon. He praised it so much, he said that the missile is unique and is now ready to be deployed in combat unit.
And now the decisive tests are complete. A great deal of work remains to be done to put these weapons on combat alert. That's clear. All the regulations need to be met. Nevertheless, the key objectives have now been achieved.
What's interesting as well here, fellas, is that Putin has proposed to extend the New START Treaty. Now, what is the New START Treaty? New START Treaty is the last major nuclear arms reduction agreement between the United States of America and Russia. So they had an agreement. Remember, back in time, there was a weapon race, armed race between USA and the Soviet Union. They were developing the biggest weapon, the fastest weapon, the most destructive weapons. So they got to a point where they were like, you know what? We think we're going to kill each other for no reason, okay? Because what we're doing right now has no positive benefits. How about we sign a treaty so we can have a limitation to what we can produce? Now, the provision was simple. Each side was limited to 1,550 deployed strategic nuclear head. That was the limit. You couldn't have more than that. And how did they manage to have transparency? They had verification and inspection and data exchange mechanism between the two countries. So they don't exceed the 1,550. Unfortunately, in some point, the United States of America sort of pulled away from that. And that was a major problem. So obviously now, Russia has developed one of the craziest missiles ever. And you can see Putin is very, very happy. You look at his face, he's smiling, he's giggling because he knows he's got the power. When you have the power, you're not afraid of anybody. Now, there's been reactions from many countries in the world. France has reacted. Emmanuel Macron announced that France will provide Ukraine with additional Aster missiles, new training programs, and new Mirage aircraft. So Emmanuel Macron is pushing further. I know you're asking, why is Macron pushing against Putin? Because Emmanuel Macron used to control Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. Remember, in Africa, they've lost influence. They've been kicked out of all these countries. Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger. They've even been kicked out of Chad and Senegal. And Russia is getting into that terrain and gaining momentum. So Macron is pissed off with Russia about that. In Finland, there was a reaction. The Prime Minister of Finland says that Russia represents a permanent threat to Europe's security and urged US President Donald Trump to provide Ukraine with weapons, including long-range Tomahawk missiles. And long-range Tomahawk missiles have a reach of 1,800 kilometers. I'm not sure how much that is in miles. I think it's about 800 miles. And Russia said if US dare to provide that to Ukraine, and Ukraine is inside Russia with those weapons, they are going to hit New York straight. And I know you're going to be in danger. Now, Croatia has reacted. Croatian lawmakers have voted in favor of reinstating mandatory military service in response to global conflicts, particularly Russia's war against Ukraine. I firmly believe that men should be very strong, okay? Men should be able to defend his family when it comes to that. If he ever had to, he should be able to do that. You shouldn't be like one of those people when people come and, they're violating your wife or your mother and you're incapable of reacting. I'm sorry, but I'm one of those men. It's over my dead body. Yeah, you're probably going to have to kill me first, spit on my body, then go do what you have. I don't want to see it. I'd rather be dead. Well, Croatia has realized that, we need to be ready. We need to be ready and protect ourselves. And I firmly believe the military service, when it's well controlled, creates an army of people that are very disciplined. Even citizens that have mannerism, a sense of limitation. That is something that a lot of Africans, unfortunately, across the world do not have. And I think it's very necessary. That's what it is, fellas. Russia is not playing. They have this missile calling Burevestnik. It's crazy. 15,000 kilometers flight and can stay in the air for a couple of days and can beat any defense system. It's crazy stuff. Let me know how you feel about this. It's always a great pleasure. God bless.